Hi everybody, hope everyone's doing okay. So what we're going to do today is do a few videos on an intro to chapter 10 section 1. There's lots of new concepts that we're going to see. So if you have any issues with any of the concepts, make sure you watch the videos again, read the book, and let me know if you have any questions. So the first thing we're going to look at is if we have a circle with a center at P and we have a point on the circle. Okay, let's use a different color here. So we have a point here on the circle and a point here on the circle. All right, so that's called A, and this is B. And let's say we know the angle in the center, which is called the central angle. So let's say we know that central angle as 95 degrees. So that's 95 degrees in there. And so that is our central angle. And if you notice, we have 3 points where we can say even angle A, P, B, that will be the central angle, which in this case has a measure of 95 degrees. So what we want to look at is see if we can figure out what that arc measure is. Let's use a different color. So from A to B, we're going to figure out that arc measure. Well, the interesting thing about the arc measure is if it goes through the central angle of the circle, the arc measure is the same measure as the central angle. So if I'm finding the measure of the arc length, which is denoted as this new notation, would be 95 degrees. Because, again, if the central angle is through the point P, which is the center of the circle, that arc length AB will be 95 degrees. They'll be the same. Okay? And AB is known as a minor arc. Minor arc. Okay, so a minor arc has a measure of less than 180 degrees. So minor arc that has a measure less than 180 degrees. So, of course, on the same circle, we had our central angle of P, then it was A, and then B. So imagine there's another point on this side of the circle that we just saw. The central angle was the same, 95 degrees. There's another arc on this circle, and it's known as a major arc. So let's use a different color to see that. So this arc on this side, going to B, is our major arc. Okay. And in order to find the major arc, whenever the center point of the circle is given, it's very easy. We know that there's 360 degrees in a circle, So we just have to do 360 degrees minus the arc we just found, which is the measure of arc AB. And then, of course, that'll be 360 degrees minus 95. And we'll get 265 degrees. And that will equal that will be the measure of the major arc ACB. So that is the measure of the major arc ACB, which goes from here all the way to there. Okay, so let's just note that is the measure of arc ACB. Okay, let's look at one more. So we're going to use this circle here with central angle of W, and there's a minor arc in here, X, Z, and there's another point on here, which is Y, which we're going to classify as our major arc. Okay. So we were given the central angle here of 115 degrees. So there's a couple questions here. First question is, what is the measure of XZ? And the other question we'll put down here. So what is the measure of arc X, Y, Z? Well, this one's easiest to do first, since we are given the central angle, and we know that if we have a central angle of W inside the circle, the minor arc length is the same as the central angle. So that's just going to be 115 degrees. So we're done there. Now, the next part, we know the major arc, which is going to be greater than 180 degrees, is equal to 360 degrees minus our minor arc. In this case, our minor arc is XZ. So we can just substitute that in. 360 minus 115. And let's go to another slide. That measure for that arc end up being 245 degrees. All right, so that was an introduction to minor arc and major arcs. In the next video, what we're going to look at is the idea of a radian and how to find an arc length rather than an arc measure. So stay tuned for that.